Congresswoman, hold that thought. Hold that thought. We've lost your audio for a second, which we'll get back to. So, Charlie, let me turn it back to you. If it is a transactional relationship, what do you do? I mean, we had Senator Marco Rubio on New Day a few weeks, I guess, ago. And he talked about how it doesn't matter that we have this alliance with them that's transactional, that some things are bigger than that. So let me just play you what his thoughts were.
There isn't enough money in the world to purchase back our credibility on human rights and the way nations should conduct themselves. And we lose our credibility and our moral standing to criticize Putin for murdering people, Assad for murdering people, Maduro in Venezuela for murdering people. We can't say anything about that if we allow Saudi Arabia to do it, and all we do is a diplomatic slap on the wrist.
Congressman, what do you think about that? Is it worth blowing up that relationship for human rights?
Well, I certainly respect what Senator Rubio has to say, but I need to add this. Look, we're formal allies with Turkey, and President Erdogan. Yeah, obviously he's making a lot of this issue as he should, but that country is no bastion of civil rights and certainly are protections of press freedoms. I mean, that country has taken a hard autocratic turn, and we are allied with them in NATO. They're a key partner. I mean, we can get rather sanctimonious about this and say that, you know, every nation with which we have friendly relations needs to adopt our values. I wish they all would, but I think that's a little bit unrealistic. Now, look, we don't need Saudi Arabian oil, but our friends and allies do.
I hear you, and I mean, nobody's trying to be particularly Pollyanna-ish about this, but he was, you know, Jamal Khashoggi was a journalist for the Washington Post. He was a resident of the United States. Does that make it any different?
Well, I think it does, I guess, because he was a U.S. person, a green card holder. It was an atrocious crime committed against Khashoggi. It was an atrocious crime committed against Khashoggi. But again, I just don't know that we can be advocating for a break with the Saudis at this particular moment. I think we can certainly put more pressure on them on Yemen and maybe change the direction of that particular conflict based on what has just occurred, and maybe try to resettle this issue with Qatar right now, where the Saudis have gone overboard.
Yeah, but what does that look like? When you say more pressure, since they already have imposed some sanctions, what do you want to see the Trump administration do?
Well, what I see the Trump administration do maybe is try to rein in the Saudi campaign in Yemen. It has not been well managed. I mean, we could also force the Saudis to get to a better place with Qatar. They boycotted that country without, I don't think it was well thought out. It was poorly executed. And frankly, it put our folks at risk. Yeah. You know, we have a major base there in Qatar. So,
please?
Yep. Hi, Jane.
Hi, you're back. Go ahead, Congresswoman.
I'm back. Here I am. Well, to continue where Charlie left off, I think Congress has two things it could do immediately. One, it could pass an authorization to use military force, disallowing the use of U.S. force in Yemen. We have cut off some of the refueling of Saudi planes. We're not in the fight. We're just supporting the fight in Yemen. But I think if we were out of the fight totally, Saudi Arabia would have to be out of the fight. And the worst human rights catastrophe going on in the world this minute would at least be at a truce, and then the humanitarian aid could finally get in through the ports, which are blocked because of Saudi action. That's one. The second thing is Congress appropriates money. We can cut off or limit or in some way make funding for Saudi Arabia conditional on certain changes. And Saudi Arabia has an option. MBS does not have to be the crown prince. There are, you know, it's a huge royal family. Maybe King Salman could figure out that for the moment this man has disqualified himself. By the way, his younger brother, the ambassador to Washington, has been recalled, and it's reported that he was on one of these intercepted tapes telling Khashoggi that he'd be safe going into the embassy in Istanbul, something he has denied, but nonetheless it may be out there. So my final point is that Congress has options, and I think Congress on a bipartisan basis is extremely upset by what happened. And Saudi Arabia has options. They can take a safer, better course and appoint someone else, designate someone else in the royal family, at least for the next period, as the crown prince.
Jane Harman, Charlie Dent, we are out of time, but because we brought up the Admiral McRaven thing, I just want to say that a few minutes ago, Marco Rubio, Senator, just tweeted about this, and I know that this echoes your thoughts, Jane. So he says, I don't know if Admiral William McRaven shares my political views or not, but I do know that few Americans have sacrificed or risked more than he has to protect America and the freedoms we enjoy. His military career exemplified honor and excellence.